Opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood radio show. I'm Russ Evans along with Shannon Nordstrom.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
You can call us at 866-594-4150 and we'll get you on the air with us, and hopefully we can help you save a little money on your auto repairs. The weather's changing. It's that time of year. Holidays are coming up, and if you've got a car that's broken, you may not be able to get it in, especially if you're trying right now at the last minute to try to get into a shop. It's tough this time of year, so we're going to go right to the phones right now and see if we can help out one of those people. We're going to talk to Steve in Iowa with a 2010 MKZ. How you doing, Steve?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad.
Hey, our secretary has this 2010 MKZ, and if it sets for a while, the battery goes dead. And I told her to shut her air suspension off if she's got it. I'm not sure if the MKZ does.
Well, those can be the most frustrating things for sure. And, the MKZ is more of a sedan-based car. If I'm getting my Lincoln numbers right, that's the one that's kind of Fusion-based, Ford Fusion-based. And I don't believe they ever had an air suspension on that
Not
car,
that I've seen.
on that particular model. And so
Okay.
I think that is a good place to go, because you'll see sometimes with air suspension systems where the relays get stuck, the pumps will run. You usually hear something though. I mean, you're usually going to hear something until it pops a circuit breaker, and because they'll overheat eventually, typically. And so That's just for other people listening if they have those systems. But we've definitely seen plenty of batteries, pumps, you name it, killed because of air suspension that has gone awry. And so that's something to look at on vehicles, these newer ones, when they have those unique options. But more than likely, it's something that's going to be either super easy to find, or it's going to be extremely difficult to find. And you're saying, well, what a political answer. But the easy to find would be, you leave the car sitting outside at night and you look out there and you see a tiny light on coming from somewhere. Something's still powered up when it's the dark of the night and you walk by it. There's a radio light on, or you see a high brake light pop on, or, just all kinds of little things. Or you can slightly touch a door and make a light go on and off or something. Because Ford can be famous for their inside door latches getting a hair trigger and triggering on and off the switch inside of them and making dome lights come on. And when that does, it wakes up modules. And when the modules come awake, then they start all saying, "Hey, I'm happy. Give me some electrons." And they steal them. And they steal them from the battery with no recharging occurring. And so at that point, that's when it gets difficult, is when you can't physically see anything. Russ, you want to take it from there?
Yeah. The other thing to look at in that, it probably has a multi-disc CD changer in the dash, and those are problematic. So check out that too. Listen for it. See if you hear that thing shuffling when the vehicle is off. When the thing's turned off, you hear it in there, and you can get right down to it, listen to it real close. You might hear it, because we see a lot of those that we unplug and the current draw goes away.
Is that loaded with CDs or unloaded? It'll do it either way.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It just does it.
So that's something to think about. And then the other things that you can run across, at times, if the car, I just had this happen on a Toyota Camry. The thing kept going dead, and I tried batteries. I was checking amps, and the thing it was just weird. I couldn't figure it out. Well, it ended up being, I asked Russ, I said, "Hey, do you want to remove that remote start that I have in there?" And so when he had it up there for some service, he removed the remote start because I was selling the car and it was subscribed to me anyway. It was a over the air one, a drone mobile, great system. I mean, it was just an older one, and the older system had not been replaced and updated to the most current system, so it was searching for a signal.
Mine's doing it right now. And from the battery dead a couple times.
So it was searching for a signal on the
15 years old.
On the Wi-Fi or the internet, and so then it would just eventually kill the battery. Not every time though. It was weird. And so we ended up removing that, and I never had a problem again with that car. But of course, by then I had ran the battery dead a few times, and I had put some pretty heavy damage in that battery, because once you run a battery down dead once, you've taken away a good chunk of its reserve capacity.
Yep.
So if you haven't replaced the battery, find the problem and then replace that battery with a good AGM battery. That's, AGMs are available from a lot of different battery companies. Clarios, our partner here, is the ones that's taught us about the importance of an AGM battery, and especially in these late model vehicles with all their electronics.
They fight the cold, that's for sure.
Super important. So a couple things to think about, a couple things to look at. So,
hey, I got one more vehicle I just thought of, being you brought up the AGM battery. My wife's got a 2020 Wrangler, and I was going to put an extended warranty on it, and they told me that the biggest thing that goes wrong with them is electronics.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, should that vehicle have an AGM battery in it?
Yeah, it probably already does. Does it have the start-stop technology on it?
Yep.
Yeah, then it's got two batteries in it. You got one under the floor and one inside, and that starting battery should be an AGM battery. But if the battery under the hood is not an AGM, I would replace that with the AGM as well. So they're both the same.
Some of those auto start stop batteries, Russ, we've seen in some of these cars we're taking apart, have little lithium ion batteries in them, like a lithium 12 volt type battery. And so we've seen that in a few too, from the GM makes on a few of them. But definitely, when they say that, I'm just going to give you a little bit here, and we'll get to some other calls here that are waiting. But if you have any newer vehicle, it's pretty easy to say electronic problems can happen. It's also a great way to get you interested in buying a warranty. As a rule, on the Wranglers, I had a Wrangler. I know a couple friends that have had Wranglers. There was more potential problems that I would buy a warranty from because of powertrain issues than electronics. That's just some of the things and it wasn't like it was rampant, but when they break, they're expensive.
Well, I heard this little 4-cylinder turbo is supposed to be a heck of a good engine.
That is a very good little engine, but when that little engine breaks, if you overwork that little turbo, they're extremely expensive for a little engine. But here's what we'll tell people with extended warranties. We've given this speech a lot of times. I'll give it again as we wrap this up. If you are on a tight budget and you don't have extra money to set aside, you might consider an extended warranty. You don't absolutely need the extended warranty, but what you can do is find out what the premium actually cost you. What are they going to wrap into your payment? And take a chunk of money similar to that. Maybe not the exact amount, and just forget you have it and put it into your own account.
Right.
And use that as your repair account if you can get that far.
I'd spend it.
And if you don't use it as your down payment on your next vehicle.
Yep. You're right.
So something to think about. Be in control of your own money instead of giving it to somebody else.
All right.
That help you out, Steve?
Right. Well, thanks, guys.
You bet.
Well, have a good day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk to Grant. He's next up on the End of the Hood show. Grant, 2004 Explorer. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good this morning, gentlemen.
So what can we help you with on the Explorer?
Okay, a little bit of a backstory on it. I bought it recently this summer from a friend of mine's father-in-law, and they recently replaced the ignition switch in it. The ignition switch went bad.
Sure.
And they left the old key on the keychain to open and shut the doors because he was an older gentleman and didn't want to try and remember a code. So it has this habit of not wanting to turn over. Like you put the key in, you turn the key, and it just won't turn over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, I talked to my mechanic this morning, and there's a little red security light that's sitting on the dash, and when you turn it on, it's solid. But if it doesn't want to start, it's flashing really fast.
That's
Now, that's
active.
what it was doing this morning.
Yep.
So is it possibility that the old key is too close to the ignition and it's reading the old key instead of the new key? Or am I going to have to take it to Falls Ford and have them reflash?
Oh, 04 Explorer, right?
First thing you want to do is just remove the old key.
That's what I was going to try that.
Keep it away. Try that first. Don't even put it in the vehicle for a while just to make sure that's what's going on. But the way the computer is, it reads that binary code out of that key, and it doesn't care if there's 10 million keys sitting in the car. As long as it receives one that is the correct to start it should start. It should not have interference. But also with that said, Ford had a problem with interference with other keys. So if we had customers come in with 2 or 3 vehicle keys on their ring for other cars, they weren't starting sometimes. So that was the fix back then on a lot of those, even when they were brand new. And they said, well, it shouldn't interfere, but it does. It's like, well, what can you do about it? Well, nothing. Okay. So start with removing that key, because sometimes the signal's just stronger. What's happening is it's not trying to read the other key, but it's interfering with a good signal from the key you have. So other thing you might try is put a new battery in the good key that you're using. That'll work. And here's another thing. You want to leave that key on there? Take the battery out of it.
It's not a fob key of any sort. It's just a regular key with a black.
Oh, you know what? It's got a transponder in it. That's right. It's an 04. It's got a transponder.
Right.
Take the transponder out of the key. So look at the side of the key, and it's possible. Okay. It may not have it, but it's possible it has a little strip in there. It looks like something like a battery door cover. If it's got that on the side of it, you can push that down with a little tiny screwdriver and pull the chip right out of there.
I did not know that.
Yep. Or you can cut it out of there. It's on the left or the right side of the key. I can't remember which, but you could just...
Well, eventually start hacking, you might find it.
I've had people, they'll take a tiny little drill, like a 16th inch drill bit, or a 32nd inch, and they'll drill a little hole, one on each side of the key blade, about 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom, if you stood the key straight up so the bottom is on the table, and then that'll kill that transponder. So to
avoid some sort of weird cutting injury trying to hold that key and do
use
that.
Vice.
Yeah, no, I think what you could do, if that ends up being the problem, just go down and get a valet copy made of your key with no transponder. You could get a valet
for the door
for the door with just make a valet copy that doesn't
plain
need
old
any
blade.
Just a regular old key copy.
Right, just a regular blade.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll try that first.
Yeah, report back to us on that. I'm curious. Report back to us on that. I'm curious.
Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Is there any other issue that it could possibly be?
That's the only one we've ever seen.
My mechanic was thinking that it might need to be updated or something like that. There's a service notice on that.
Start with pulling the other key, and then we'll look back further before we worry about the next step.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Want to know what these guys are really about? Take a look under the hood.
Under the Hood Show, that's us, 866-594-4150. Give us a call. We'll get you on the air, and we'll help you with anything that ails your automobile. That sounded corny, but it's true.
Borderline corny.
It's true. If it ails your automobile, we're going to fix it up. So right now we're going to jump in, and we're going to help Jim out. Jim has he has a broken something. 2017 F-250. How you doing, Jim?
Hey, thank you, guys. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you now. Clear.
Nice. Yeah, 2017. I just bought this truck. It's got the the IMRC vacuum issue.
Oh, yeah.
With a 6.2.
Yep, intake manifold runner control.
There you go. Now, I'm new to this. I mean, I just got on YouTube and figured out that it was that causing the noise, because when we unplugged that lead that goes to that intake, they shut off, the noise stopped.
Okay.
So anyway, what the question is, do I have to take and replace the whole manifold and everything, or is there components on that would make it simpler
here
to fix?
All right, since this is a great question. If you're coming into our shop, I'm going to sell you the whole manifold and the runner control.
Right.
And here's why.
Yeah.
Because when I try to play the good guy and sell you just the part, about 9 out of 10 times, you're going to come back and say, well, it's still doing it. Blah, blah, blah. I demand you fix it. And guess what? We end up buying the manifold and giving you that for free, or trying to figure out if you'll pay the difference between what it was for just the runner control and the whole manifold, because the bearings and everything are worn in the manifold and the doors don't move when it gets cold and things change with the heat and it doesn't work. So I'm going to fix it right the first time at a reasonable price, and you're out the door and gone, and it's gone forever. Now, if it was my own car or your car, just buy the part, stick it on there, and if it works, you win. If it doesn't work, you're not out that much. Just go get a manifold. Put the whole thing on it. Dorman Products makes all those parts, and they're really good. That's why I get the whole thing with the runner control, the manifold, the doors. They're all one unit, but they do stick. So imagine you got this tunnel with all those ribs you see on the top of it, and these little doors in there on the bottom, and they have to open and close really sweet. And if there's any interference in there because that manifold's warped a little bit, they're not going to move. So that's why we replaced the whole intake.
Okay, got it.
There was a period of time where the intake manifolds for some of those Fords were not available. I don't know. It was post COVID, and it was the aftermarket. People were paying $3,000 some $4,000 just to get an intake manifold on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And
because you couldn't drive the truck.
Yeah,
they were leaking.
Yeah, it was a different setup. But so I'm pretty confident that's been rectified, and the people aren't paying stupid money for intakes anymore.
Right. Okay, that helps me a lot, because I will do that. I'll buy the components. It's like $100, and for the actual vacuum, I guess, runner valve, and then see if that does it. And if it doesn't, I'll just switch the whole thing.
Yeah, and
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just understand you are taking a little bit of a risk, but it's a calculated risk.
That's exactly right.
Clean. Clean it up good and make sure the doors move, very well. If they don't, you might be able to clean the carbon off them, and if that fixes them up, you're good.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. My son, Tony Rudolph, has called you a few times, and he said you were the turn to on this. So thank you for your time.
We appreciate it. Tell a friend. Go to YouTube. We're there too.
And it's fitting that we get a call from Rudolph this time of the year. So that's awesome.
You got it. Well, thanks again, guys. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you. Take care. Thanks, Jim.
All right, over now. Bye.
They're a little bit warmer down there in Georgia. It makes me just feel warm at heart.
It does. And they're getting ready for some big SEC football and playoff action down there. Yeah. It's going to be all the rage, I'm sure, for anybody down in that area. I know our official show promoter to our marketing folks.
He's down there.
He's down in that area now. He's looking forward to the college football playoffs. It's a big deal this year.
Well, and if you're on YouTube, figure out what it means, what I put in there, and leave a comment. But yeah, if you notice, there's someone not here today. HERE. He's not here. So it's next week. We thought it was this week, so we told everybody you made liars out of us, guy. Chris, I thought we said it was last week, but no, it's next week.
Eventually, we'll have Chris back.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless the plane goes down or something like that.
Hey, let's not say anything like that.
No, but that would be horrible. What?
No, let's just talk about something else.
Hey, so I just wanted to, real quick, we're going to take a break eventually here, and then we'll get right back. But headlights. Now that it's darker out in the morning and at night, I'm seeing more and more of these blinding, illegal headlights. I was one of them the other day. Even though mine were legal, they were not adjusted right. I found a new pair. So somebody took great painstaking effort, and they took like the 2022, 24 Silverado Yukon, the headlights, those, they got the rectangle shaped LEDs in them now that are not bulb replaceable. They're just permanent. Well, they took those and they mounted them in a housing now, and they sell them for CK trucks. They're sideways, and they are incredibly bright, just like they are in the new trucks. They finally, because the 14 Silverados sucked. Those
they're
headlights were awful.
terrible.
But then and Morimoto makes an awesome one for that.
You know,
you
for
can
like my
see
son's 14 Sierra.
Yep, they make some amazing ones using the new technology. But they had put that in there. Actually, it was some guy in China that did it. But they're amazing. My lights are like, you can see everything, and I didn't have to build them myself. But they did need to be adjusted.
You didn't have to put them in an oven and take apart the housings.
But they were adjusted so they were like they were basically blinding people. They were pointed. They come out of the box like pointing straight up. Whoo! You wake everybody up when they get about 50 feet from you. You could clearly see all the details of their face in the car because they. So
you knew you were in trouble.
I was like,
you didn't have to get bright lighted.
I was surprised that only a couple people flashed me, but they were putting their hand up in front of their face
because they were looking at their phone.
Yeah, it's just that we're in that era where people don't flash you as much. But yeah, watch those lights. Put the right, correct bulbs in them. We're gonna take a short break. Under the Hood will be right back in just a moment.
Want to know what these guys are really about? Take a look under the hood.
Take a look under the hood and you will find Russ, Shannon, Chris, all the motor medics there helping you out with anything that's wrong with your car. Call us up on the phone and we'll give you an answer directly. Just like Christoph did with the 2015 Enclave. How you doing, Christoph?
I'm doing okay. How you guys?
Well, we're not too bad. We're good. We are surviving a cold snap in the upper Midwest and trying to keep customers on the road with the number of cars that have broken just in the last week is astonishing to us. I mean, it's been all day answering that phone and taking messages in the morning from people calling at night saying, water pump's out. Battery's dead. Transmission doesn't move anymore. All these things that we had a weak winter last year, very short, about 4 or 5 weeks, and then it was great. Then we had the rain. But around here, yeah, the cars just have a 2-year cycle of not being broken, so we're getting more of them in. So what's happened with your Enclave?
Well, I've only had this one about 7 months since May 2015, and it's an all-wheel, tri-climate luxury car for me. And I was debating about calling in because, could I wait on this? Probably, but I don't know the car well enough, so I'm going to trust you guys.
Sounds good.
There's kind of what I would call a really quiet banshee. It's kind of like a tinnitus kind of ring that you hear from inside, possibly the HVAC system, maybe air compressor, maybe a blower motor, maybe an engine fan. And I'm noticing it just in the last couple of weeks. Like you said, as the temp dropped, now I'm starting to notice things in the car for the first winter I've had it. So this comes on while it's on auto climate control. I cannot turn the AC on and off as far as the button goes. It blinks 6 times, and the forums tell me that 6 blinks is probably an AC pressure sensor. I had the rear AC worked on in August because the whole system failed to produce any cold air. So I don't need cold air now. We're looking at 6 degrees on the dashboard, right? So, but I'm curious whether this whole system being tri-zone, left and right, and then rear, if that AC compressor is going to cause me grief, if it's a sign that maybe auto is trying to trigger the AC and maybe there's an evap leak or something like that that's causing the 6 blinks to say, hey, the pressure is not right in the system, but it's not actually lit up for AC on the dash, on the little buttons. So when I push the button, it blinks 6 times and then it goes off. I have had in the last 2 weeks one time where I've seen that AC lit solid. And I don't recall whether I had turned it on or auto had turned it on. And otherwise, she just blinks. So I don't need to dry the air right now. The windows are doing great. Defrost is all working, and I get hot air. But I don't know if I'm looking at an issue where it's going to fail, whole hog because of something with the AC or what have you.
Yeah, that light blinking is usually an indication of pressure. It's just too low. And when it gets this cold out, you can be right on the border of a pressure issue because it looks at the outside temperature. It knows what that temperature is, and it knows that the pressure should be dropping because 0 degrees, zero pressure with refrigerant is pretty much a normal on that. So it's going to know, but it needs, when you have a full auto system, it takes control over the air compressor. And if it can't run it or power it up when it thinks it should be able to, I mean, it assumes that it has refrigerant in it because that's the way it was designed. So the computer, the module in there is designed to operate like it has refrigerant. So I would have that checked. But you've got to have all the components there to make it work correctly first before you can try to figure out what's going on. But it could very well be an issue where it's trying to move doors, open and close something. It's not fully moving to one way or the other because of the refrigerant issue. It could definitely have an issue if you're pushing the button.
You're talking about the blend doors that are to redirect the air from the And I can hear that really pronounced in my wife's 05 Silverado.
Oh, yeah.
I know that it's got one that sounds like it sounds like a puppy. It goes squeak or squeak or squeak or squeak, and I can tell it just can't quite the teeth on the little gear aren't quite meshing, and so I need to get up under there and replace that one particular blend door actuator or motor or whatever it was.
Much easier on that.
I've even got one in a box.
Yeah, much easier on that than the Enclave.
But the Buick,
oof.
Yeah, the Buick is pretty well buttoned up. So
couple easy ones on that one, but there's a couple really hard ones.
But you're just that noise that he's hearing, Russ. You think that potentially could be a door that's just kind of trying to cycle? And
I think so. It doesn't know where it wants to be, so it's doing weird stuff, or it's trying.
And I have heard a little tap.
Yep.
I've heard a really quiet tap, which tells me that those blend doors are probably buried way up inside the dash or behind the firewall or whatever.
They're
up in there for maybe.
Well, let's do step one first, because step one is knowing you have a blinking light.
Get that refrigerant fixed.
And it's unusual for the sensors to go bad. I mean, we'd love it if the sensors went bad, but they don't go as bad as often as they go low, as often as they go low on refrigerant.
Yeah, give that.
So it's more likely that the sensor is alerting me to a pressure problem.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Yep. I'll take it in, and like you said, I know they've got a lead time, so I'll make the call and then get at a reasonable time set up. Thanks.
Sounds good. Take care.
We've now had a call from Rudolph and Christoph from Frozen.
All right, now we just need a reindeer call.
Yeah.
Mike, you got any problem with the reindeer on the 20 F-150?
No, sorry to disappoint you.
All right, maybe another one will come up. We had Santa in our shop yesterday.
You did have. You sent me a picture of Santa in the shop yesterday.
I looked back and went, all right, I'm going back to the office. I've seen it all.
It was actually Santa. I think it really was.
It was Nick. He's no saint, but it was Nick.
It was the tool man.
Nick the tool man. I believe he used to work for you, didn't he? Nick Hexum.
I know him well. He's a good
Did
guy.
He used to work for here? I thought he worked for Nordstrom's one day, long time ago.
I lose track.
All right. Or maybe he used to just come to tear down to sell tools. I don't know, but he was the tool guy. Mike, you got an F-150. Hey, how you doing?
Good. I've owned it for about 10 months. Usually it's in the garage every night when it's cold and it starts fine. But last week I was at a meeting, so I had to spend the night, and it was outside at a hotel, and it was single digits when I got out, and had to crank it and crank it and crank it for it to start, and then it would die. And I had to do that about 5-6 times, and I eventually kind of feathered the gas pedal to kind of keep it running. And after that, it was fine, and I haven't had a problem since.
You got an EcoBoost in that? 6-cylinder turbo?
Guess I'm not sure. It's I run E85 in it.
Okay, because it's either a 6-cylinder turbo or it's a Coyote V8. So
I think it's the V8.
You are running E85 in it all the time?
Yeah, I'm a corn grower, so I like to use that product.
Well, that's good for that industry, but don't run E85 in it if it is that cold outside. Run E30 in it. E30, I guess if I wanted to put on my corn hat for a while.
I have one. I have one at home. I have a corn head, like a corn husker foam. I think they're still floating around. The kids got them when they were young, and they've been around our house forever.
So there are countries like Brazil that have laws about how much alcohol is used in fuel, and people think, oh, it's so warm there. No, it gets pretty darn cold there, well below zero when you get very south instead of very north up here and up in the hills. And they run like 98%, 99% ethanol in their cars, but they will not start without gasoline injection. They have a lot of Volkswagens down there that are gasoline injected for startup only. They have a container that's built onto them. You start it up, the computer injects gasoline to fire the car. It'll run on the high content, and around here you're pushing about 50, let's just say 50% alcohol with running E85 in that, because that's what comes out of the pump here. Not like down in Wichita where it's 85, 84% alcohol. But they won't start in the real cold weather. And I'm sure you probably noticed once it started running fine, it was fine. But getting it started is a problem because the BTUs of that fuel, alcohol, is way lower. Now, you can compensate with that with compression, which you don't have because you've got the capability of running gasoline, so they have to build it to work flex on both. But it's not going to run when it's that cold. So if you want to run E85, run it in the summer, but you're going to get much better gas mileage running E30 all the time, winter, summer, anything, because you're going to notice a pretty big drop with 85 compared to E30, even though it's going from 30% to 45 to 50, 47, somewhere in there. It's quite a bit of difference in the BTU in a flex fuel engine.
And Russ and I both run E30 in our vehicles.
And they start fine. When it's 20 below, it'll
thank you for doing
start
that.
up. Yeah, so try that. Fire it up and see what happens. And you'll have, running E85, you're probably going to have a lot less issue with carbon on the back of the valves is what we see on the Ford engines, even the EcoBoost that are direct injected. They have that too. But yeah, don't just switch over. Put E30 in there, run it through the cold spell we got coming through the next month or two. And if it starts and runs fine, then you can call us back and verify that fixed your problem so everybody else will believe what we're saying, because sometimes I don't know why they don't, but most people do. Did that help you out?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, take care. Yeah, it's just that it's the content of the alcohol is way up there, and it's causing an issue. So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It just needs a little more volatile juice in it for now. We're going to take a real quick break here. Under the Hood Show is brought to... We're going to take a real quick break here. The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturdivant's, 866-594-4150. We'll be you.
If it needs more than duct tape, you need Under the Hood.
Welcome back to the Under the Hood Show. I'm Russ Evans along with Shannon Nordstrom. You can reach us at 866-594-4150. And we're going to give away a hoodie. I didn't do that at the bottom of the hour, but I'll give one away right now to Marcus Kemp. Congratulations from our friends over at Universal Technical Institute and Berkeley One Classic, celebrating 50 years of collector car insurance. And if you checked with Berkeley One before and they weren't in your area, check again, because they're always expanding to new markets all over, saving you a ton of money. And now is the time to think maybe a certificate. I don't know how does that work. Gift certificate. You want to give somebody tuition? Help them out?
There we go.
Maybe you just want to do the best Christmas present ever. UTI.edu. Tell them that's where you need to go. Just tell them about it. Maybe they don't know about it, but that would help them out if they're looking for. You got a young person that's maybe even a little older person that needs a little help and is looking to start a career. That could be the way to go. UTI.edu. Right now, the way we're going to go is to the phones, and we're going to talk to John in Illinois, who has a 2013 Ram. How you doing, John?
Doing good.
All right.
I've got my 13 Ram. I don't think the transmission temperature gets warm enough. I was wondering how warm should it actually run compared to the coolant temperature and the oil temperature.
Well, what's the outside temperature and what's it say? Like, give me an example. It's a 75 degree day.
I've got on my dash. I've got coolant temperature, engine oil temperature, and trans temperature.
Yep.
And like even on a long trip, I'll have 200 on the oil and coolant.
Yep.
And it never gets above 150 on the trans temperature.
That's a good
Perfect.
thing.
That's right where it should be, and you should see that stay low. And if you're towing with it, you don't want it to get much hotter than that either. That's good. It has a thermostat in there to regulate its temperature if it's still factory, if it hasn't been removed, but it will, and removed is good. As long as you can get that temperature up, let's say above 90 to 100 degrees, you're good. It's warm enough. What you want to avoid is if there's no thermostat and you've removed the radiator from the cooling system, you've just put a plain cooler up front, and now the temperature of the transmission's running 20 degrees because it's 0 outside. That's a little hard on components. They haven't warmed up and fully expanded to where they should. The metals, it's just like driving a car that's cold all the time. So if you're hitting 100 degrees with it, you're doing well. I think that's going to make that transmission last a lot longer. Keep the fluid from burning too.
Yep. Too much heat is bad. If you get too hot, that's when you start hurting things. So
does that help you out?
I was worried about it running too cool, but if you say it runs 90 to 100, that's usually where it runs. I run about 15 miles to work, and it gets up to probably 90 degrees.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're doing great. Be happy about that.
All
if
right.
they start getting too hot, you got problems.
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
All right, now we're going to jump right over, and we're going to talk to Dan with a 14 Ridgeline. How's the Honda, Dan?
Well, it's a great checkup. I love it. It treats me well. But I have an electrical gremlin that I can't figure out.
An electric gremlin. That'd be something to see, wouldn't it, Shannon?
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah. So I am the second owner of the vehicle. The original owner had installed an aftermarket stereo with Bluetooth phone.
Sure.
And aftermarket remote start. Those were removed, and the original AM/FM 6 compact disc changer installed. Everything works great on the vehicle. All the electrical works great except the dome lights. When you open the door, the dome lights do not illuminate. The door, the little puddle light on the doors light up, but the two lights above the rear view mirror and the two lights in the back seat above the back seat passengers on the ceiling, they do not illuminate. Now, you can push button those two lights above the mirror, and they will turn on and off. The two in the rear will not turn on and off when you push them. They never illuminate. So I'm thinking it was something involved with the installation and then subsequent removal of that aftermarket stereo. There's a ground somewhere that's not attached or something like that, but I have absolutely no idea where to start with something like that.
Well, there's a constant power in there that is hooked up you need for an aftermarket stereo system. And that is also the constant power that supplies your dome lights and gives you the ability to turn them on when the key is removed or it's turned off, vehicle's turned off. You can just hit the button and turn them on. There's two separate circuits in there. It's possible that that fuse was blown in the removal or installation of that unit. It's probably in the removal because it wouldn't have worked properly while it was installed. So I would go looking for that fuse. And sometimes it's a little hard to identify unless you get a wiring diagram that traces back to like circuit 15. You got the number. You may just have to look at every single fuse in there. You can get yourself a test light, check it. And just check every one, both sides. power, go
I
up.
didn't even think for a fuse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go through that line.
Because when you push, like when I push the one above the rearview mirror, it turns on and off.
Right.
But those two rear ones do not.
Mm-hmm.
And then none of them light up when I open the door, whether the car is on or off.
Yep. I think you've got a fuse out, and I think it's like a BCM backup fuse, like BCM 2 or something like that, if I remember. But I've seen this happen. This happened on one of our employee sales guys, Scott's Ridgeline. It was doing weird stuff, and it was just a fuse. And they're like, but the lights work. It's like, no, they sort of work. It's like a 3-way light switch that works from one location and not the other. Something like that.
Okay.
But
now I do have the key fob for the remote start.
Yep.
And that will lock and unlock the doors.
Oh,
but
so
it will not. Well, it won't start the car. Is that a separate component? The car starting part of it?
No, it's still in there. It's probably in valet. It's probably in valet mode. There's a way to turn it on.
Something that like the crew at the audio playground or you guys up at your shop, is that something that
audio
they
playground
might be able to make work for me?
Yeah, we don't do it, but audio playground could at least take a look at it and tell you if it's in valet mode or if it just needs to be removed and something else put in there. But they'd be able to, they'd definitely be able to fix you up on that.
Okay.
I
know you guys always talk very highly of them. So
oh yeah, this is the time of year for those guys. I mean, remote starts. That's the ultimate Christmas gift. The gift of warmth on.
I might wait until after Christmas to go in there.
Yeah. Well, no, get in there now and get your appointment scheduled. You want to
because they're going to give them all away for Christmas and then put them in later.
Yeah. Oh, they do that. I mean, they do sell.
Good thinking. Yeah.
So you could buy a remote start, like if you want to buy it for a loved one or someone you really don't like, but buy a remote start and then you wrap the key fob up in the wrapping paper. And then you give that to them at Christmas. They go, what's this? And it's like, well, this is for your remote start. That'll be put in later. Or if you put it in now, don't do that. Because if it's already put in and you give them the remote start, they'll say, but what about the last 2 weeks where I was freezing and I had this remote start? What were you trying to do? All right. Thanks for the call.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Take care. Oh, man. We used to put in so many remote starts. I did over 1,000 of them, and I was just like, oh, my fingers are sore from all that.
That's a lot of
remote
finagling.
Starting. Yeah, I mean, I did over 1,000. I think Daryl,
who knows how many?
Way more over that.
He just had a birthday in heaven.
Yesterday.
Bless his soul.
That was cool. And we were thinking he used to come up with the things when he'd see something on TV, and he'd just change it around, and we'd talk about it. It was kind of funny, and I posted that on his page, and that football commercial for the bundle and save thing you say, and it's like bundle save, and I'm like, he'd be saying that right now. It's just one of those things that would just drive you nuts. That was really fun that we really miss about him. So we're gonna have more calls coming up after the break. The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturdivant's. You can get on the air with us as well. 866-594-4150. We'd love to talk to you and help get your car fixed up. Take care, everybody. We'll see you back on the hood in just a moment.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. I am Russ Evans along with Shannon Nordstrom.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
And along with you and your calls, and we have a lot of them. We've got every single line full right now, so we're going to clear at least one of them off right away so we can get the next callers in. They're probably ringing busy right now. How you doing, Joe, with your 97 Civic?
Hi, Russ. I developed a antifreeze leak.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the hose or radiator, and I'm wondering, would that what's the name of that?
K-Seal?
K-Seal.
Would that work on rubber too? If the hole is in the rubber hoses?
It's not really meant for that because the rubber flexes so much, but we have seen people use it if they're, let's say they're out on the highway and they need a quick fix and they've got a very small leak. Yeah, it'll fix that too, but it's just not meant for a permanent, because K-Seal is a permanent repair solution when you're looking at a hard part inside an engine, but not for a water pump or a rubber hose. But now if the leak is around where the rubber hose is bolted to, let's say, a thermostat housing or a radiator neck that's slightly corroded because there's an issue, it'll seal that up. So, yeah, give it a shot. I think other than taking it apart when it's super cold out, I think it'd be a good option for you, Joe.
But if you're looking at something and you got a fitting that is leaking from a rubber hose or that sort of thing, and you know that's what it is, I would schedule to get that hose replaced and get that stuff updated, because that rubber is probably getting old enough that it's going to burst at some point, and that there's nothing going to help that.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I said, if you need to get by for a little bit, that's definitely a way to give it a shot, because that K-Seal is a great product.
Okay, very good. Hey, Russ, I like your house.
my barn.
Your barn, yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. They're actually coming to inspect it tomorrow for it's coming along. So I've been running electrical for a couple weeks now. So
I see you had some Christmas lights on it already. So.
Yeah. All right. Take care, Joe.
You bet. Bye.
All right, we're going to jump in and let's see. Next one we're going to talk to Mark with a 2014 F-150. Hello, Mark. Mark, are you there? We held out a while. All right, we'll
give him one more chance. Mark, are you there?
Mark is gone, so we're gonna jump over and we're gonna talk to. How about Anthony? We're going to talk to Anthony with a 2010 to 13 Silverado, looking to buy one of those. Hello, Anthony.
Yeah, I didn't know, as I went and looked at it, what are the main things to look at on those vehicles?
Sure, when you're looking to buy one? Well,
yep.
It depends on the engine a lot. I mean, we've not any more than any others, but we have had a few transmission issues. You want to make sure you do the services. You want to pull that dipstick out and make sure the fluid looks usable, that it's not burnt, black, charred,
stinky,
smells awful. Definitely avoid a transmission. If you can pick one that's got a good red transmission fluid versus that, I'd pick that one, unless they're covering something up. But they've had a few transmission issues. The engines are pretty good in those. The active fuel management, where it shuts down cylinders, can be a little touchy on those. So you want to start one up, preferably when it's cold. Fire it up and listen for any noise. If you don't have any, then once you get it, drive it 3 months, 3,000 miles on the oil changes, a good quality oil, and keep it running. Try to put some longer trips on them. They like that. That's a pretty good vehicle. I mean, overall, the two things that, if I was driving one, the two things I would be concerned could possibly happen to me would be an active fuel management issue or a transmission. And I'd just keep those fluids maintained and just keep driving it and hope I don't have an issue with it.
But if it has a upper end noise, a bit of a rattle when it starts,
like
or
a lifter,
or a tick, 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 that's not an exhaust leak that can be easily identified, you're probably, it'll run that way a long time, and it can be just a valve spring or something, but most likely it's probably the beginning of some wear on the cam and lifters, and it'll be going downhill from there. That truck is, like Russ said, I agree with him. It's a pretty solid truck. The thing I'm going to look for is, what do we know about it? Is there a service history? Has it been, if you Carfax it, Carfax isn't perfect, but it captures a lot. Has there been major repairs done to it? What kind of things can you add to the value quotient when you're looking at it?
Properly maintained, what's the life expectancy of a truck like that?
Oh, we've seen a few of our customers come in with close to 300,000 miles on those. It's pretty common to see them with that many miles. Now, if it's an in-town truck and it's over a long period, we'll see a 2010 with 180,000 miles on it that's pretty worn out. If it's just driven to work and back a few miles and beat up pretty bad, not taken care of. So even not taking great care of them, they do tend to last quite a while. Our average engine replacement on one of those is about 175, 180,000 miles. And that's not on a highway truck. That's on one that's been really beat and rode hard in town.
Okay, I appreciate the information.
All right. Take care, Anthony. Thanks. All right, we're going to jump over and talk to Terrell in Mississippi with a 94 Ram. Hello, Terrell.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
I'm trying to get a PC on a computer for that vehicle, and I'm looking online, and it's a lot of different part numbers, and none of them really. I called a dealership and got the one that supposed to go in there. They gave me called two different dealerships. They gave me two different numbers.
Oh no.
And can I just go to you put your order and get one that's gonna work? What you think?
On a 94, is this a 1500 V8?
Yeah.
All right, 1500 V8 automatic. I would probably take my chances and find another 1500 V8 automatic, match the gear ratio so the two trucks both have the same gear ratio. Likely they're gonna be.
Yep, most of them will be.
They're all very similar. But if the gear ratio is the same, then you don't have to worry about the programming, and that one doesn't have security in it. You should be able to just drop it in and go. I'll bet that'll fix it. That should still have the old controller. If it's got the new NGS controller, a little small one with the multiple plugs on it, that's where you run into programming issues and stuff. But with the 94 with the old school controller in it, should be a drop in, and that you wouldn't have to worry about those numbers. And the dealership probably has two different numbers because there's probably an update that supersedes the old number. They both do the same thing, but they're both going to be newer numbers than what you're going to find in a auto recycling facility, U-Pull it or full service. So yeah, just go pick one up. And I mean, in the worst case, you go to a U-Pull it, and usually if you buy a part of a U-Pull it, they'll guarantee it, and they'll say, hey, if it doesn't work, you bring it back. We'll give you the same credit amount to buy something different. And somebody always needs something from a U-Pull it. It's never enough of that.
Oh, even if the ratios are different, it will start it up there, right?
It'll start and run, but your speedometer won't be correct.
What's the problem you're trying to solve?
Well, it's a no start, and we tried crank sensor and all that, and I pulled the connector off, and some of the pins is bashed out on it.
Oh.
So I know it's gonna have to have a computer. So.
Start with a computer and see if it'll run. I mean, in the worst case, if it does run and it's off in gear ratio, you can have it programmed. You have to get somebody with a Dodge style computer programmer and reflash it to the right VIN. Then it'll program in the miles or the VIN will be programmed into it with the gear ratio, tire size, all that. You'll be good.
Is that a Magnum 5.2 or a 5.9? Which one is it?
It's 5.2. It might be a Magnum. I'm not.
Yeah, they call it a Magnum. That's still got a distributor in it too that could, you see the corrosion on those pins that might lead you down that road, but they've still got a distributor in those that can fail and cause it to lose spark.
Yeah. Okay.
So keep that in mind.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Oh man, that's awesome. I love it when I can go get it. If I'm curious about a part and I can just run over and pick one up, throw it in, and see if that takes care of my issue. And then I know I can if I have to, I can buy a brand new one, program it, but at least I can test it. And the test fee might be $50 to $75, but that's better than buying a $800 computer.
Exactly.
So, all right, we're going to take a short break. You can get a hold of us at 866-594-4150. There is room on our caller board now. We've taken a few and helped them out, hopefully. The End of the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturtevant's.
Guaranteed car repair advice or double your free back. This is Under the Hood.
Guaranteed automotive advice or double your free back. That always sounds like a good thing, doesn't it?
Should sign up for that. All you got to do is call 866-594-4150.
And just like David with a 2000 Silverado, we'll get you on Under the Hood. Hi, David.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, we're answering questions. We're fixing cars right over the air.
All right.
Sometimes people tell us, that's impossible. They can't fix your car over the air. And I love it when they fire right back and say, well, they did.
Well, you've helped me a few times, so.
We appreciate that. If we do it once, it's better than zero.
That's right. I had my truck into the local Goodyear dealer, and they ran a diagnostics on it and told me my catalytic converters were bad.
I believe it.
And I was wondering, is that going to... And I've noticed in the past month and a half, 2 months, that my gas mileage has gone downhill.
Yep. That could do it. You'd have low power, low fuel mileage. Could be hard to start. Usually, though, it'll start up, run really good for just a couple seconds, then low power.
Well, it runs just fine right now.
So
starts good and it goes down the road just fine. I don't notice a loss of power yet.
Okay.
But
is your light on? Check engine light? Is that why they're saying the cats are bad?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the first step is they'll scan it when that light comes on, and it'll say catalytic converter efficiency. You've got a loss of efficiency. They look at the oxygen sensors coming in versus what's going out, and they look for the back ones to be pretty steady, but the front ones to be switching a whole lot, crossing over from rich to lean. That tells them that the converters are working. They can also use a temp gun to probe it and see what the in and out temperatures are. If they fail, then you've got to put cats on it. If they're plugged up, you're going to lose fuel mileage and you're going to lose power. So if they're starting to get bad, starting to clog up, you could be losing power. And on a 2000 Silverado, one of the most common things for causing a converter failure is the driver's side valve cover. That driver's side valve cover has a PCV valve built into it, and Dorman Products makes one for it to repair this. And this is for many, many vehicles, not just this. As they start to get clogged up and the engines sludge up inside and they start to wear more and they start to give off more blow-by, there's more blow-by in there. What happens is that the PCV system can't flow enough in order to remove that pressure from the crankcase. So what Dorman Products has done is they've built a bigger orifice into the valve cover to allow more flow through there, but also they've got the proper baffles in there to prevent oil from being sucked in there and burning. On your original, it's pulling oil out of the crankcase. It's because of that extra pressure. It's burning it in the manifold, and that will destroy the converters.
Okay.
So I would pull the hose off of the driver's side valve cover that goes to the PCV valve, see if there's a bunch of oil in there. If there is a bunch of oil in there, that's what's going on. Replace that valve cover before you put cats on it, because you'll have bad cats again.
All right.
And we have seen a few people get lucky, and they stop the oil problem.
And that fixes it.
They stop the oil problem, and it fixes it because eventually it gets enough heat built up there to burn that out. So do that first before you go spend the money on converters.
And they do make a catalytic converter cleaner you can put in the engine to help clean that out. I think it's from Cadico or something like that. It's a catalyst bed cleaner.
Give it a try, because they're expensive.
All right.
All right.
Oh yeah. Even like I've got MagnaFlow exhaust on my truck right now, and I was going to go to MagnaFlow Cats, but it's kind of spendy.
Yeah, push pause on that. See if you can find out if that's your problem first. Why the converters went bad, or at least why they're giving the inefficiency light, and that could be it.
All right. Take care, David.
All right.
Thanks for the call. All right, we're going to jump over. We're going to talk to Bob. Bob has a 2022 GMC. Hey,
morning,
Bob.
guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Got a 22 GMC 1500 with a 6.2. Can I run E30 in it?
I do.
Yeah, Shannon has one.
I have a Silverado of the same vintage, a 22. Mine's the mid-year refresh or whatever they called it, with the bigger screen and stuff in it, and the electronic shifter. That's how you can tell right away that it's the mid-year refresh. And I have a 6.2, and I've ran E30 in it since it was brand new. And I got 30-some thousand miles on it.
Don't run E85, right?
No,
it's not. It's not made
Don't
for
run
that.
Nope.
No. It's not a flex fuel vehicle.
It would run poorly if you run E85. I mean, it'll run, but check engine light's going to come on. It's not going to run right, and it could cause harm after a while. So you definitely want to not do that. But like Shannon said, from brand new to now, 30,000 miles and like 3 years of driving that thing. You've never had it serviced for anything other than oil, right?
Right. No, that's it. I had one warranty. They had to reprogram the gateway computer or something.
Yeah, I had that on mine. I ignored it because it made a couple changes I did not want them to change.
Oh,
and
okay.
They were wanting to do it, and I said, nope, don't do it. And they said, well, you're really, like, I've got my own computer. I'll do what I need to. So
I would not be concerned one bit on that. And, I probably get a little less fuel economy, but I typically drive in a way that I don't get great fuel economy anyway. So I like the extra octane. The E30 satisfies the need for the premium fuel because it's actually giving it a better octane rating with the E30 than it would if you bought premium.
I really think on yours, it's with what you're getting for mileage, it's probably canceling it out. You're saving money with the E30, but you're getting the higher octane, so you're getting better miles per gallon. So even though you're losing some, you're gaining it in efficiency. So you're about the same with either way you go.
Because that truck is premium recommended, I believe. I don't know if it's required. I can't remember. I look at it all the time. And so
says premium recommended.
Yep. And so I'm feeding that recommendation with my higher octane E30.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Thanks for the call. We get so many calls on octane and fuel. I mean, it's everybody has one thing. Everybody has. They have to put fuel in their vehicle unless they're driving an electric, and there's just not that many out there compared to ours. We're probably 99.9% of under the hood listeners are gas powered only families at this point. And it'll be that way for a long time.
Maybe 0.2.
Oh yeah, we got Jeff. He bought another one, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, there we go.
We got to get down a little bit.
And Paul's got.
Yeah, Paul's listening right now actually because he sent a message with my post that I put out there of what the number fun today is with our live recording date. So,
all right, we're going to talk to Jay in Rhode Island with a 2012 Volvo. Hello, Jay.
Good morning. How are you?
We're wonderful.
Good. So my situation is I have a 2012 Volvo. It's a C70.
Sure.
And the situation is when you get going somewhere around 50 miles an hour, it starts to shake a little with some acceleration. And then once I get like over 65, it goes away, even with the acceleration. And even when it's shaking at around 50, I let off the gas and it'll stop the shaking. And I'm perplexed as to what that could be. And I think even some of the mechanics I've taken it to are feel the same. I've actually had two different opinions, so I would love to hear yours.
If it's shaking just while under a load at certain road speeds, but then goes away whenever you take your foot off the accelerator, I think you have a a problem in one of the shafts. That when the bearings wear out in them, You're
talking about a half shaft on the front end.
The joints, yeah. So as you accelerate that shaft, that tri-point joint, when it's loaded, it'll vibrate. When it's unloaded, it will not.
I think one side on that car has a hanger bearing.
Yep. Right side has a hanger. Left side has a hanger bearing. I think it is.
I can't remember how it's set up underneath there, but I think one side has a hanger bearing, and we've actually had a few of those vehicles that we've gotten in that people have driven to high miles, and when they've got them to high miles, that's one of the problems that developed was that shake in that front end, and it ended up being a half shaft or hanger bearing issue.
Yeah, check that out. I think that's probably what they're going to find.
Is that same as? Yeah. So one person found that, the other one thought it was the engine mount. So I'm glad that one of them was right.
Well, look at all of that, but that's where you're going to find yourself. I bet is at the half shaft, and that's over the radio, of course. But there you go.
Yeah. And now you say you have to just do one side, or should you do both sides?
We usually do them in a pair.
Same thing.
We can, hey, we'll take you over the break, and we can talk about this a little bit after our break here. We got a break coming up, so just hang tight.
Oh, sure thing.
We're going to take a short break. The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturdivants.
Guaranteed car repair advice or double your free back. This is Under the Hood.
Welcome back to the Under the Hood Show. I'm Russ Evans along with Shannon Nordstrom. Hi.
Welcome, Hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Universal Technical Institute, UTI.edu, and Berkeley One Classic, celebrating 50 years of collector car insurance. And more importantly, it's brought to you by you who listen to our show. So we're going to jump right back in and we're going to finish talking to Jay with the Volvo that shakes upon acceleration, but if you let off the throttle, it smooths out. And if you get above a certain RPM or below a certain RPM, highway tire RPM, it goes away. This is common. We see it a lot, and most of the time it shafts, but it can also be an engine mount that's worn out, causing the engine to sag, making the shaft out of alignment. It misaligns that shaft. So,
or a shaft with wear on it gets put at a different pitch and it just can't.
Yep.
It doesn't work that way. So there are a couple of things there, and they're both kind of nuanced. And so you were starting to ask before the break: do I replace both of them? What do I do? I would inspect the motor mounts first. That is a good place to look just to make sure. And Russ, you could look at them, use a crowbar just to kind of move things around.
We can tell about those easier than a shaft, because to find out the shaft, you would have to take it off, remove the boots, take the joints off, clean them, and inspect them, see if there's any wear in them, then put them all back together and check the balance of the shaft.
Which nobody does. They just replace it.
You just buy a whole shaft for like $120, whatever they are, and replace the whole shaft. And
there was a couple of those Volvo shafts that we had a hard time finding for certain models for a customer, and we did end up going to the used route on a car dash part, or in our case we used our network, and we found somebody that had a lower mileage, same model that was hit other side, whatever, and we were able to buy the shaft and the hanger all off of one car. I think we bought the shaft, the hanger, spindle with the hub pressed into it. We just bought everything off the one side off a lower mileage vehicle and replaced it. Because in this case, they had ignored it, and then at some point the joint broke.
That's not good.
So it typically doesn't go that far, but if you ignore them long enough, that can be the outcome. Typically not.
Yeah.
But I think that's an all-wheel drive on that one, or is it just a front-wheel drive?
Just front.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get my model names straight in my head there, but
for those of you who have an all-wheel drive, the rear drive shaft, and like on Lincoln MKZs, MKTs, things like that, all those with the rear shaft running back, those rear shafts on these all-wheel drive cars wear a lot. They primarily run on the front end, but when they switch to that electric for the rear end and run that coupler back, that viscous coupler, they can vibrate a lot. We put in a lot of those shafts.
But my hunch, we're not looking at it, we're not tearing it apart, is that you have a problem on the side that has the hanger bearing.
Yeah, and they call it the CV joint. Is that, sorry for my ignorance, is that the same thing, or is that different?
Well, I might have just used a term that maybe there's a bunch of different terms that get loosely used that aren't always correct, but there's a half shaft, which basically goes from the wheel bearing, the splines go into that, and then it cups into either the transmission or what I guess more people would probably call it a jack shaft, Russ. Would that probably be what more people would call it? And it's basically like a hanger that has a bearing that simulates, in a sense, the transmission that you would normally slide the cup into. And then from there, it goes into the transmission. And they do that to equalize so they don't have torque steer as much on the front end on acceleration. They try to equalize the torque on the shafts when the engineers make them like that. That's why they put in a jack shaft. I know back we always say in the day, but I remember some of those Chryslers when they came out with the front wheel drives, they had like a 4-foot long shaft on the right side. I don't know if it was that long, but it seemed like it when we were putting them away in our drive shaft rack at the time. But there was a super long shaft on the one side. But then eventually, with the higher horsepower turbo units and things like that, the turbos would get a bigger shaft, and there would normally be a jack shaft that would equalize the size of the shaft so that
the torque
they wouldn't get the torque steer upon acceleration.
Yeah, and one of the, because I had the two diagnoses, and what I was asking both of them, and I just want to make sure this is common in the industry. They said, well, I said, if you do that and it doesn't work, is there any any repercussion of, like, you can give me a discount or do the other one at half price? And they said, no, we do it, our work, and then you have to pay for it. Is that common? And
I'll let Russ speak to how that usually works, or how it can work, and how we've seen it work.
Yeah. If we're working on a part and we don't know for a fact what it is, we haven't taken it apart. Now, I can tell you, yeah, Jay, come on in. Oh, you want us to guarantee that it'll fix the problem? Here's what I can do. I can diagnose it. Oh, that's what I want, a diagnosis. Here's what the diagnosis requires. Taking that shaft out of your car, completely disassembling it and inspecting it and finding out if it's worn out. That costs this much. Well, that's as much as a new shaft. Right. Or we can put in a shaft. There's no guarantee that it's going to fix it, but it's cheaper than actually taking yours apart to find out. And it's a pretty common thing, and they do wear out over time. So it's up to you if you want to put it in, whether it fixes it or not. Now, we're not forcing you to, not twisting your arm. You don't have to do it. It's the most common thing. It's up to you.
I will say, though, that Russ has just said that earlier, that you can give motor mounts an inspection.
That can be done.
And typically tell if they're good or bad.
Yeah.
Yes, do they get wear on them? Yes, they do. But if it's excessive wear is when they start causing problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be usually seen, or you put a pry bar in there and you can see how much movement you have. You can usually tell that a lot easier than you can trying to figure out if the bearings in a half shaft are going bad.
Well, yeah, and one said one thing and the other said the other, which was my confusion. And the one said, so again, with the shaft, they said it was loose. They could tell that it was loose in the axle. Does that mean anything to you? Or?
If it's loose where it goes into the joint, it's bad. It's not supposed to move at all.
You need to replace it regardless if that's the case. And and I'm going to say this again, we've seen all kinds, but they should be able to walk you out to the shop, I would think, and say, hey, we've got it on the hoist. Look at this. This is not normal.
Clunk, 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 clunk.
We can show you. Here's another car on another hoist. It doesn't do that.
Here's the new one. It doesn't move.
Yeah, right. So they could show you that physically if there is, and if it's loose, that is a wonderful indicator that that's where your problem is at.
Yep.
Okay. And it also could be both, right? I mean, is that possible?
Oh, yeah,
right?
for sure.
Both.
How many miles are on this Volvo for kind of a final question here to kind of give us a little bow on this thing for Christmas?
79,000.
Low mileage, that is more likely something going on with the half shaft than the motor mounts.
Yep.
And just a new motor put in it. I mean, I'm adding too much to. I apologize, but yeah.
You had a new motor put in it?
Side. The new motor was put in about 10,000 miles ago, and it wasn't a front left accident.
Okay, I got to ask one more follow-up question. I got to ask another follow-up here question now. Was the problem there before the motor was replaced or after the motor was replaced?
No. Well, it was well after the motor was
well
after the motor was replaced, but it wasn't right away.
Okay. Well, because there
It was
could
like
be, if they had it apart, I would inspect the motor mounts. I would make sure everything's buttoned up correctly after time.
Pretty low mileage there.
Yes.
Did they put a motor in it because the timing belt broke? Is that correct?
No, believe it or not, this is another bug story. I was just driving down the highway, and all of a sudden it said check engine light. When I pulled off the highway to the gas station, the engine was seized and there was no oil in it.
Okay. So it had the oil consumption issue and ran out of oil. That's okay. Those are the two things they have. Either the timing belt breaks, get a timing belt if you have one, folks. Check into it. Or they have the oil consumption issue, which is typically a valve cover issue, and that it sucks the oil out of the engine. So, all right. Thanks for the call, Jay.
We'll say a prayer for your. We'll say a prayer for your Volvo.
All right. See ya.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
All right, we're going to jump over. We're going to talk to Jonah here with an 04 Avalanche. Hello, Jonah.
Good morning, guys.
What can we do for you?
I got this 04 Avalanche, 121,000 miles on it. And I recently did replace my rear differential. And when I put it on the voice, it seems like the bearings are losing it. I'm wondering if I can repack these or not.
They're not repackable. No, they would be replaceable.
I can actually literally take it and shake them with my hand.
Yeah, are you talking about like the pinion bearing or on the outside on the axle bearings? Which one are you talking about?
It's actually more than it's more of a in and out movement than up and down.
That's normal. They will, if you pull the wheel off, they'll move in and out, like probably a 16th of an inch, maybe a little more.
Okay. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, because they've got just on the axle like that, there's just a pin kind of in the center of the differential, and with a C clip, and I think those are a C clip on those, or they got
got a big clip and it'll move in and out like at least an 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
Yeah, it'll move in and out, but it shouldn't move up and down, just in and out.
Yeah, that's what it does. So there's nothing to adjust or align or anything.
No.
Yep, and to answer your initial question, though, those are all sealed bearings. The bearings on the axles on the end are pressed into the housing. The axle that's in the front of the pinion, that is part of that carrier set. There is nothing in there that can be quote unquote repacked like back in the old days when you had the old style bearings.
Yeah, so if you don't have any noise, it's good to go.
Oh, everything seems fine. I was just kind of, I had it on the voice the other day, and I realized they're kind of loose or nothing severe, just about 16th of an inch, I guess.
You should be good, Jonah. Let not your heart be troubled.
All right, take care. Oh man, there's a lot of times that people they get concerned about something like that when they see it, which they should be for sure. But always ask, and the best way to do that is go to the Under the Hood show, because the asking is for free here. That's right. 866-594-4150. We got room for a few more calls before the end of the hour. The Under the Hood show is brought to you by Sturgis.
If car repair was cheap, you wouldn't need us. We're Under the Hood.
If car repair was cheap, you wouldn't need us. But it's not cheap. So you do need us. And we can help you. Just like Gordy in Arizona with his 2019 Nissan. We're going to help you out, Gordy. We think. We're giving that the over-under that we can help you. What's going on with that 19 Nissan?
Okay, thanks for the show, guys. It's great.
Very welcome.
The Nissan has a 1.6 in it, and everything on that hood looks like it's been shoehorned in place.
It has.
And anyway, I have found a plug on the bottom of the transmission, I believe, to drain it. but I can't figure out anywhere up above either to check it or add oil. What do you got?
Yeah, on the side of that, on the driver's side near the axle shaft, there is a vent fill. That's where it goes to plug. You've got to pull that out. Look on YouTube. You'll see where that's at. You'll get a good description, a good picture of it. But you pull that out and you fill it there, and then it will run out there when it's full. That's what you do. Honda's the same way. You fill it through there. It comes out. On a vehicle with a vent on the top or a sensor, some of them have a sensor you can remove and it'll give you access. There's some tricks that different people use of the trade to help that work. But yeah, basically you need access to get into the case somehow and pour the fluid in. But we just go in through that same vent. We've got a tool that is very small filler and it just goes in the side and we fill it up. And then once it starts running back out, we let that run out until it's just a drip with it running in park and warmed up to, at least around 100 degrees or so. Not too hot, not too cold. And then you're good.
Because that CVT is a drain and fill situation.
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to do, correct?
Yes, I want to. Yeah, I want to dump the old stuff. It has 63,000 on it.
It's time.
And refill it.
If you don't have access to the right, like a hoist or a way to get underneath it really well and get a good eyesight on that, it is a big challenge. And at that point, you might.
I wish.
Yeah, at that point, you might be better off going to a lube center and having them say, "Hey, I want to do a drain on fill with this with the factory Nissan CVT fluid, and or an equivalent that you approve." And so, Russ, what do you guys use? Use the factory Nissan only in those, or do you do something else in them?
We do. Some are NS2, NS3, depending on what model that you've got to look and see.
And that's all you put back in them?
That's all we put in it.
Because Nissan has they know what they've got there with that CVT, and when they work good, they're great. But if they're not serviced properly and they put the wrong fluid in them, you can kill one in a heartbeat. And so you're doing the right thing, but maybe even check with your Nissan dealer to see how much a drain and fill costs. But, when you start comparing the cost of that fluid and then the disposal and different things you got to deal with, it might not be too far off. But check a couple places, and it might be worth it on this one.
I think you talked me into it. I'll go to the professionals. So thanks a lot,
All right.
guys.
Good luck. Take care. I was right. We did help Gordy out with his Nissan. All right, now we're going to jump right back in, and we're going to talk to Chris with an 04 Caravan. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, it's a 2014.
14. Well, that's even better.
Yeah. And I've got, I don't have my notes in front of me right now, but I have two airbag codes, and it's like a B0001-13 or something like that. It's driver squib 1 and driver squib 2 failure. And it's a hard failure. And I had, just before this happened, I had been underneath the dash on the passenger side. I replaced the temperature door motor for the passenger side. And this happened right after that. I was wondering if maybe I did something underneath there that could have caused this, or is it just a coincidence?
Did you have to remove anything else to get access to your repair?
Just the glove box and a panel underneath the dash, a kick panel. And I took the seat basically out on the passenger side so I could get up in there more easily.
Did you unplug the seat?
So I had
Did you unplug the seat, the
Yep.
airbag setting, and take it out of the vehicle?
Yep, I unplugged the seat.
Double check that. That's not part of that driver's side sliding clock spring, which is what the code is for. But sometimes those things give false codes when there's another part of the deployment loop that's failed, and often it's that passenger seat. We've seen a number of them go in for detailing. They pull the seats out, they shampoo the carpets, and they Smell downy fresh like our shop floor. And then they put the seats back in, and they don't get a good connection, or they bend a pin over, or there's goop in there or something, and then you get that code.
So I definitely would check that, plug in, make sure it's properly clipped. There's a pin in it, make sure it's properly pinned. That's definitely where you got to start. And I had one on a Nissan where I took the seat out when I was cleaning things. And when I had the seat out, I turned the power on. And so then it cycled without that seat in, and it couldn't get that sensor reading. And then I ended up I found a hack online. Otherwise, I would have probably had to take it to, if Russ could do it with his scanner, or maybe back to Nissan for them to be able to clear that out. And some of them, they told me online that you couldn't even clear them out. You might have to get a different module. But somebody online had a key sequencing and a push and a button trick. I'm like, there is no way this is going to work. And I followed it, and wouldn't you know, it worked the first time. But I had turned power on unknowingly before I plugged the seat plug-in back on. It was just a mistake. And so then it got that code into its little brain, and it couldn't shake it real easy.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that that's what's happened, something like that. I have checked that connection for the seat like 3 times. I've taken it back apart, looked at all the pins, plugged it back in, and that code just comes up. It's a hard failure, and it happened right after I was working on that.
Well, and the other thing that will come up for is usually, the typical thing on a Chrysler like that would be the clock spring failure.
Yeah.
For that airbag connectivity that goes through the column and rotates on a clock ribbon.
Right.
To keep that continuity to the airbag, and sometimes other systems like steering wheel controls, horn, a lot of that can run through that clock spring area. But boy, when you say you've had it apart and you had the seat out of it, that's sure. And then it came on right after that. It's hard not to keep looking there.
Yeah, that's right. If a clock spring wasn't so expensive, I just put one in. But
right. They're a lot. They're a lot of money. Well, hope that helps you out.
Okay. Well, and then I'll maybe try to find some sequence I got to go through. Like you say.
I got lucky on a Nissan. I don't know, but I would crawl the internet a little bit and see what's out there.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Okay. All right. Hey, thank you.
You bet. Take care, Chris. All right. That was a lot of calls.
There's a lot going on.
There is. It's that time of year. There's so much that needs to be done. You got to get ready for Christmas. The shops are busy. You can't get in right now. So if you can call us, 866-594-4150, and you get on the Under the Hood show. And you got mechanics here that are going to answer your questions with free auto repair advice. Where else do you get that?
Yeah, and if you don't catch us on the radio, you can catch us on podcast, and you can catch us on YouTube. And
if you're on YouTube, make sure, what the ultimate thanks for us is to just give us a thumbs up, because, subscribed or not, you just hit that little like button. Thumbs up.
Makes us feel good.
Oh, and it makes YouTube feel good. And they say, we should show more people this video. So that's the way it goes. We like it. This has been another episode of the Under the Hood Show. You can reach us every week right here, except for Christmas week. We'll be off, but there'll be a best of show there for you. The Under the Hood Show is brought to you by Sturdivants. And we're back just like magic. Here we are.
It's after
show, because it's after, and this is the show. So
thank you for those of you that were watching live today, and I'm sure some of you might have dropped off. Some of you might be hanging in there.
They're dropping down. I see we still got a number of them.
So it's like our own little private conversation right now.
Yeah,
between you and us.
Yep. Nope, the radio's not listening right now. They can't hear us.
No, it's just the YouTube audience, and we're happy that you're here. And Christmas is right around the corner, and during the show today, Russ had a great gift idea. A quality remote starter for somebody in your life if you're in a cold climate is a wonderful gift idea.
Or if you're in a warm climate, you can get the air conditioner going.
That's a cool, great gift too. I never think of that. I always think of the cold side of things. I'm usually okay when I'm hot, but when I'm cold, I want to get warmed up as quick as I can. That is for sure. But Christmas has got between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we got a weird calendar this year, and our good friend Chris has had a weird schedule himself. So hopefully next week we'll all be back together for one show before the holiday. Correct?
I think so.
It's going to happen. It's been a bit. But we're excited to get us all back together because the show's better when we're all here, and it's even the best when you're all here, the ones that are listening to us. And my daughter would say, "That's cringy, Dad."
Oh, whatever. But yeah, we're and I think this is what is this? This is December, but it looks like we're probably going to be back at Barrett-Jackson next month at the end of January. So
signals are leading that way, but we're not sure yet 100%.
We'll see. We'll let you know, but I want to get you prepared just in case.
You want to know how prepared I am?
How prepared?
I just got an email with my bidder number yesterday.
There you go.
I'm not going to let happen again what happened last time.
Yeah. Well, even if we don't go for the show,
I might still be watching the beginning.
Might just get on there and you can bid online.
Yep.
You know,
I might be watching the beginning.
We got a call coming in. Call.
You know, it sounds like a crow in the other room.
Yeah, when it calls, it's like call. It's quite the.
So producer Doug and official call screener Doug is checking it out to see if it's legit. Because if it's legit, we're bringing it on because we can always use content.
Yeah, sometimes it's a spam call, and I get the funniest thing. We used to get those calls for the doctor show. Turned out they had the same phone number we did, because besides our 866-594-4150, there is a phone number that if you knew what it was, you could call it, a regular number with an area code, and you could get on the show. It would ring through to here. Well, it happened to be the doctor's phone number from that used to be the doctor's show. So they would call it. Now that show does not, they're still there, but they no longer take live calls. So they just shut off they just said, well, we don't take them. They don't open their laptop like we do and take the calls. And we were getting these weird things on messages, and they would come in like, yeah, this is Martha. I've got a foot fungus. I can't. And they're like, oh, are you kidding me? And I'd play some of these calls for Chris and Doug, and we're like, what is going on? It's not under the toenail. It's disgusting. I mean, they were just.
Did you try to answer a few?
No, I just thought, really, you call a doctor show and you're just going to put your life right out there for the whole world to just, very. I don't know. It's not. I wouldn't do that. Not on live radio to talk about cars. We're going to talk to Ted in New York with a 19 Tundra. Hello, Ted.
Hi, how are you doing?
We're good. I think your caller, 22 today or something like that? I can't add them up because I'm running the board today without Chris here. So, but there's been a bunch of them.
I've got 18 written down.
Oh, your caller 19 with a 19 Tundra.
Yep.
Yep.
What's up with the Tundra?
Well, I was this is my fourth Tundra I've had, but I've usually leased them and only put 35,000 miles on. But I'm keeping this one, and I've got it up to about 80,000 miles now. And I just did my transfer case and the rear end. But I was trying to figure out what to do with the transmission. I read all these different things about changing the oil, everything from not changing at all to changing just a few quarts at a time or changing the complete system. What's your advice on that?
I like to change the whole thing. There's no reason if I'm going to wash my dishes, I'm not just going to take last night's dishwater and drain half of it and fill it up with new soap and water. I like to change the whole thing.
That's the way I was thinking, rather than just draining off a little and put some new in 3 or 4 times.
That's like brushing 3 teeth at a time. I'll do 3 this morning and 3 at lunch and 3 tonight. No, it'll be good after a couple weeks, right? Yeah, no. Yeah, I'd like to.
I guess the question is, will the local dealer do that, or should I just check to see how they want to do it? Because some of them say don't do it at all.
Ask what they do. They're probably going to say don't do it all. Depending, you're probably going to get a service writer who's going by the book. You need a mechanic that's going by the seat of their pants, that's seen cars break and they know how often it should be done. In our shop, we see people at about 60,000 miles is where they're changing this stuff, unless they're doing a lot of heavy towing. And with those, it's a complete flush. Some are drain and fill.
So the complete flush, would that be taking the coolant lines off and pumping it out through that?
Well,
coolant line?
Right. One line comes off, connects to a machine, and then the machine's other line connects to the feed back in. So what it does is it removes exactly what it puts back in. I set my machine for 12 quarts. It drains 12 quarts through a flow meter, and it adds 12 quarts back to it through a flow meter, so it knows exactly to the drop. I can narrow it down to a half a pint, and it'll refill.
Do you have some manufacturers, Russ, that say don't use that machine on our vehicle?
Oh yeah, a lot of them. CVTs don't flush. Things like pressure. A lot of Hondas don't flush because they don't want pressure being put back through it. A lot of that has to do with thermostats in vehicles. They're worried that it'll drain out, but it won't fill back in because some of them are on the fill side versus the drain out side. Things like that. So you want to look at that, and they're very specific in their service manuals. They will spell that out, but typically they just say not required. If it says not required, doesn't mean don't do it. It just says it's not required.
Well, and with here's the reason I believe it is, just from reading and being around the industry, is that, and we brought this up a number of times, Toyota's got an awesome product, and they want to be able to tell the story on maintenance and cost of ownership. Their story is you don't have to do it. We've got a good fluid in there. It's I don't know if they call it lifetime or what they call it, but
they do last a long time.
And they're trying they're trying to say, you know what, you don't have to do it. Don't worry about it. We'll cover this thing for a long warranty. But the reality of it is, you talk to people that have been around mechanics their whole life, is that fluid matters. And there is a point where it's better to have a fresh pack of chemicals and a fresh lubricant in there than it is to let it continue its life cycle. And so I'd be curious what the manufacturer's long-term maintenance schedule shows for that vehicle. Do they show it as a lifetime fluid, or do they say at 150,000, or do they say at 125,000? Because once again, Toyota's trying to tell the story on the lifetime maintenance of their vehicles, which falls into the cost of ownership of their vehicle. And so the service writer is going to continue to tell Toyota's story. I'm not saying it's wrong. We're just saying that we believe in most cases you are going to serve yourself better if you're going to own this thing for a long, long time by having that changed.
Okay, that helps a lot, and I completely agree with that. So I will ask the dealer how they do it, and insist on a full flush.
Yeah, well, just get their talking points, and then listen, see what they say as you ask a little bit further. Is say, hey, what if I want to do this because I want to get fresh fluid in there, and then compare notes. Jump on the internet, look on some forums, talk to an independent transmission shop. Just get some different opinions in a half hour. You can figure this out by making a couple phone calls and looking on the internet. And I think in a half hour you could get yourself comfortable with the decision that you'll make.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call.
Have a great day.
You too. All right. That's it for another episode of the Under the Hood Show. You can call us next week, 866-594-4150, and get on under the hood. Till then, take care, everybody. And we hope that your cars